And we're back. Nye County, Tom Gibson, Ammie, I'm sorry?
Ammie Nelson.
Nelson, and Chuck Augustin. And last segment, we'll open it up for calls, but we wanted to be able to get our 2 cents in before we were barraged by our fans out there in TV land. So, did you want to change gears here a second?
Well, it's not really changing. It's just taking it from this energy aspect of what the basics of life and everything else, the universe, our bodies are, and bring it into something important to everybody, and that's health. There is tremendous strides being made in research surrounding the energy aspect and magnetic aspect of our bodies. Conventional medicine mainly has concentrated on surgeries and the chemical aspect of health. Really, our bodies is a combination of electromagnetic pulses and inner workings and chemical reactions to those pulses. Really, it's a chicken or egg situation, but the thing that probably comes first, as it does in everything, is energy and the electromagnetic effects, and that involves, in particular, our minds, our brains. Our brains is just one big computer system. It's got 100 billion neurons, brain cells, and trillions of interactions computing every second of the day. And there's both a conscious brain and a subconscious brain.
Right.
The conscious brain is a very small part of our activity in the brain. All the health that goes on in our bodies, all the organ mechanisms, etc., is being triggered through the subconscious primarily.
Well, if you want to make your life happier, the subconscious part of your brain is the part you have to change.
Exactly.
And you do that by just repeating stuff to yourself all the time. Basically,
Right.
is a
Power
main-
of suggestion.
Correct.
I learned that when I was 8. But going on with what you're talking about, I like to explain it to people in a very simplistic way of the moment of conception. And you have to be conceived within a ball of energy. Mm-hmm. You cannot be conceived if that energy is not present. That's a scientific fact. And then you begin to develop within that energy, and as time goes by, you become manifest as an individual, a person. You're born into a physical body. You become physical out of the energy, but you are still yet an energy form. But you're a physical that deals with result.
Right.
So when you get cancer, that's a result. The energy anatomy is where it originates. So that's why medicine is gearing now to go toward things like essential oils or MRIs.
Well, you're talking about holistic medicine because
anything that has to do with energy. MRIs are energy, safely better than the old X-rays that we used to have available that would bother our energy.
Right.
It would damage our bodies, our energy bodies, and the etheric body is very sensitive. And our bodies will die. Our physical bodies will die if you damage that etheric energy enough. When that gets wounded so severely it can no longer sustain us, then the body dies, and I think we carry on.
Well, when you do, speaking of the energy, when you do or have an MRI done, one of the things you do is you drink a fluid which has got radioactive materials in it.
Not always, not always.
But
anymore they're getting away from that. I've had enough in the last few years, let me tell you. I'm like a pro with MRIs.
Okay, so I had one done with a bone scan done on my leg when I was in the Marine Corps. I fractured my leg, and they took me to Bethesda Naval Hospital, and they took a picture of my leg. But it was really interesting because they made me drink this stuff, and it was terrible.
Yeah.
But I remember it somehow finds its way to the part of the body that they need to look at.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I actually had an X-ray that was done using a liquid that I had to drink, but the MRIs that I've had have been when I'm in a coma, so I'm not able to drink.
Right.
And they do a full body scan and look for physical damage. But the MRI is what I'm talking about. It is an energy that's bouncing off of energy to give you this physical picture. It's an energy that's being captivated now so that you can see what's going on. And I know it's a real hard concept. You can imagine
Right.
it's a concept that most people can't get hold of, but you're just talking about energies that are reflecting and giving you a photograph of something physical.
Right.
But it's all an energy pattern that's doing that.
And that's one of the keys is we are, again, so programmed to believe in conventional medicine, conventional everything,
Right.
that it's so hard to get outside that box. I brought many books. This is The Holographic Universe, a great book. Another one is Controlling the Human Mind. And both address things like the placebo effect. That's when you take a sugar pill or real medicine, chemicals,
Right.
etc.,
Right.
and you don't know, nor in a double-blind study does the doctor. It's only until they put it in the computer to find out if it was a sugar
Pardon me?
pill or if it was the real medication.
Well,
And-
placebos don't hurt your body.
Well, what they found amazingly is placebos have a tremendous healing effect and a pain relieving effect because the people believe it's medicine.
Right.
And one of the instances, there were 6 studies done regarding pain, and they compared the effects of a placebo, a sugar pill, with morphine, which is a very strong pain reliever. And the result was 54% of the people felt the same relief from pain from the sugar pill as the actual morphine. And there's instances, one after the other in this book, The Holographic Universe, that will blow your mind on what's been achieved because the mind believes something is helping them.
That reminds me of some of the studies my father did in Germany with Colonel Powell involving hypnosis. And I was his guinea pig. I was the one that would go to all these conferences, and he would put me in front of this room filled with all these servicemen. And I was a scrawny little kid, and he would put me like that folding chair, you know, with a head on each end, and he would have men come sit on me, and I wouldn't bend. It was just a power of
Yeah.
suggestion. The same thing with pain. They used to do an experiment with cigarettes, for example. They would have a subject, sometimes me, and they would take a cigarette and they would suggest to the person that was now hypnotized that this is a pencil eraser. And we're going to put it on your hand, and it's not going to burn you. It's not. We're just going to put the eraser on your hand. They don't mention burn. They don't mention cigarette. They just say it's a pencil. Sure enough, nobody would get burned. Nobody would have a blister.
Firewalkers.
Yeah, that's exactly another. It's mass hypnosis. You know, when people get in a group and they, you know, I don't know, these people,
Spoon bending?
voodoo people, you know, that's the same thing.
The
That's the same thing.
Tibetan monks and the
Power of
martial
positive-
artists. It's
yeah.
incredible what people can do.
Power of,
But if they got that much power, how come they're not all rich?
that's right.
Well, that's the thing. What
The
is
people-
life about?
Right,
Yeah, we
exactly.
go back to energy, and it ends up, most of us are conned into believing
Yeah.
these little green pieces of paper that are called Federal Reserve notes are the purpose of our life. Come on.
No, you're right.
There's got to be way more to really
Yeah.
the purpose of life than getting those pieces of paper.
You said something earlier about people saying if you're lucky or, you know, you're positive thinking. I'm the luckiest person I know on this planet. Nothing goes wrong for me. Everything goes right in my life from day one. I cannot remember a time when something negative happened that it didn't come out totally positive
Exactly.
in my favor. I mean, really in my favor. And, well, I can take 3 pennies and win 10,000. You know, that's lucky. I can be killed 4 times and live and not have any real evidence that I had those kinds of injuries. You know, my life goes on, and somebody else benefits every time.
Absolutely.
And so, you know, it's just, I'm not concerned about this fiat money, this,
And that-
you know, because I'm taken care of. This
And when you
universe
ex-
takes care of me.
When you extend it, excuse me, into people that have turned to drugs to get away from reality, people that feel like they're worthless because they're not rich, the homeless people,
Yeah.
we spit on them, we throw them in jails, we do all these things. But going back to the beginning of the show, every body is a miracle. 100 trillion cells, atoms, the things that are going on just to make us experience this thing called life. We are all such incredible, whatever we are, creations.
It'd be nice to be to the point where everybody does the same thing.
I had a friend and I were working downtown Vegas a few years back, and another attorney, and I saw this vagrant came up and asked us for $1, and we gave him some money. And I said how I felt sorry for him. He goes, "You kidding?"
Yeah.
He said, "Not a care in the world. IRS, divorce court, nothing. It's this guy. He might." You might look at him and say, well, he's a poor creature and doesn't have anything, but he's got his own life,
Right.
and it's uncontrolled and unfettered by others. So
It's his.
yeah,
Yeah.
And that's really it. Life is what we make it,
Yeah.
if we allow ourselves to be the judge of it.
If I feel the pressure of how you want me to be, then my whole life would
Sure.
change. And exactly, you know, you need to have some awareness of your own ability and be positive, and things will come around and be positive with you. You have to be that way. Otherwise, it's pretty obvious what happens. You know, we've got all those people to look at and say, well, he's not too positive.
right.
You know, something went wrong.
And I feel sorry, not for the homeless people, not for the good people that are really happy within themselves. I feel sorry for the people that are rich or think that money is the answer, and will screw everybody else. They'll do anything to achieve this ridiculous status.
And you feel sorry for them?
Yeah.
So you feel sorry for Hillary Clinton?
I do. I do. Simply because I know what it is to be on your deathbed. And what people think on their deathbed is not that I get, elected, is not that I make X amount of money. You don't think about that when you're knocking on death's door.
You've had a near-death or out-of-body. Anyway, have you had any experience like that?
A few, but they were self-induced. It was through meditation and self-hypnosis.
Well, you know, before I had my first automobile accident in 2008, I was exactly the same way. I could do a lot of things. I could do out-of-body, what they called the astro travel.
Right.
My father used to keep record of everything so that we could determine, is this psychotic? Do I need medication over this? Or is this really a scientific effect?
Right.
And so he did that my whole life. He kept records. But after the 2008 automobile accident, when I was killed, I was dead. And they flew me it was in San Bernardino, and they flew me to Loma Linda Hospital, put me, I was on a coma. They put me in the hospital, called my family, said, she's not going to make it through the night, get down here. And I had this beautiful experience where I was in this black room or space, and off in the distance was a very, very bright light, and it became... it started coming to me, and not that I was in a tunnel, it just gave me that opinion.
We got a commercial break coming up. Please come back and we'll
open up the lines, right?
Yeah.
For phone calls. So the number is 727
8541? I don't know. It'll show on the screen.
727-8750.
That's it.
8750.